Hi, welcome to Theater Corner. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. As a lifelong theater enthusiast and a board member for one of the top theaters in the country, I've seen firsthand the positive effects that diversity and inclusion can have on the stage and the theater seats. This interview series was created to share my passion for theater and promote diverse voices throughout the national theater scene. We sit down with some of the top professionals in the entertainment industry to discuss training, careers, advice for young actors, and how to make theater matter to more people. Can you imagine being only 4 years old and knowing your passion? Well, this is a story of Viviana Peji, a young actor that has already made an impression in the theater right here in San Diego. She shares with us how she developed an early interest in acting and dancing, and how she dreams to be part of a huge project within the next 10 years. So much to learn from a young and talented Viviana Peji. Welcome to Theater Corner. So very happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is truly in a great space.
Fancy for the fancy. And so you are a teenage actor.
I am.
When did you get bitten by the bug of being an artist?
Well, it started when I was really young, at about 4 years old, when my mom went to Zumba classes and she would always take me with her. And I guess that artistic spark kind of came up inside of me when I started dancing, and then I started singing around in my house. But I wasn't in my first real production until I was in Junior Theater's Mary Poppins when I was about 10 years old. And then it kind of progressed and I started doing more theater, but the turning point of my career was really the Old Globe when I was in the Grinch for 3 years.
You are what we would call a triple threat.
Thank you.
You're talented.
I appreciate that.
You're a talented actor, singer, and dancer. Where do you see yourself? Kind of more in the theater space, kind of a Broadway kind of career, or film?
Well, I'm currently a high school student at Coronado School of the Arts. So in the future, I definitely plan on going to college. Ideally, I'd love to study in New York. I recently traveled there in April, and there's just such an electric feel to the city, and I really felt like I fit in there. Ever since I was young, I really wanted to go on Broadway, just like every other theater kid.
Right.
And that dream still lives inside of me, but now I've really focused on more on the backstage part of theater, and I just got my first job as an administrative assistant with Mariah Performing Arts on this site-specific tour that they're doing. And it feels really nice to be sitting behind the table for once.
Right.
And giving directions instead of taking them. Yeah, I definitely feel like I fit into both places, so the future definitely has a lot of paths that I could go down.
What other special training have you had, during your career?
Since I was super young, I've been taking voice lessons and of course dancing lessons. I've pretty much had a bunch of classes in all sort of genres of dance, like ballet and hip hop and jazz and modern. I've never had a specific acting coach. It's always been my vocal coach kind of taking part of that side and helping me with auditions. And that's part of the reason why the La Jolla Playhouse Young Performers Conservatory was such a life-changing experience for me, because I had never focused so thoroughly on my acting before. And now the methods that I'm using make me feel like, as Jeffrey Ingman would like to put it, like I'm telling the truth as an actor.
It helped you become more of an authentic character.
Exactly.
Do you have your own approach to kind of reaching that authenticity as a character, which involves actually getting the actor out of the way? The actor doesn't need to be in the room. Do you have your own approach?
I used to be very focused on myself when I approached acting. But now I feel like the most important thing, especially when you're in a scene with someone else, is recognizing that the actor that you're working with is infinitely fascinating and more valuable than you are. And developing that trust and really experiencing them as a human being and not just a coworker or another actor that you get to play with. It's taking time and investing your own time into who they are, because even though I do try to separate myself from who I'm playing as a character and who I am as an actor,
Right.
there always will be something in me that relates to the character I'm playing. So trying to figure out what that is in your fellow actor makes the scene and the project that much more interesting.
Who inspires you?
Ooh, the list.
As an artist, who inspires you?
The list goes on and on and on and on. I have plenty of mentors and plenty of idols. I would have to say Anne Hathaway is one of my biggest idols because she is a triple threat as well. And she has not only made it in the film industry, but in the theater industry as well. And I think that is so spectacular because they're both such, even though they both involve acting, they're both such different industries. And trying to merge your way between the two can be confusing, especially for me. I'm kind of at the point where I'm deciding, should I go into film or should I continue to pursue my journey in theater? And I think it's people like that that show me that you can do both. And the possibilities of being an artist are limitless.
Right. When you performed at the Old Globe, you had a special experience there. Tell me about this experience.
My special experience was the fact that I got to be 3 separate roles within 3 years, and that within itself was just kind of, it gave me a different sense of what I could do for the rest of the cast. And when you're in a role, you're kind of stuck in it and you can't imagine yourself doing anything else because you do your research and you see the life of the character that you're playing. So getting to play 3 different characters in one musical was almost like I was staring at myself acting because I would be Betty Lou Who the first year, and then the next year when I played Annie, I looked at the girl who was playing Betty and I almost saw myself in that costume. Then when I got to Teen Who, it almost helped me connect even more with the kids because I understand the character in a lot of ways. And so it helped me just almost see myself in them even more so.
Was there someone famous that played any of those characters at the theater?
Yes, Vanessa Hudgens was the first Cindy Lou Who 20-some years ago at the Old Globe. When the Grinch had a completely different costume and the show had a completely different director. But yeah, it's a huge part of the heritage there. And you see the history backstage every time you go. You see the original drawings of the costumes. And then, of course, the iconic wall in the dressing room when you first get fitted, and you see all of the names of every single kid who's played every single role ever.
Oh, wow.
And you see a little scribble below a line that says Vanessa Hudgens.
And it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there to this day, which is amazing. And that's one of my favorite parts of the Old Globe. It never loses its own identity, and they know who they are.
Where do you see yourself as an artist 10 years from now?
Oh, 10 years is a long time. I've barely
Certainly.
lived 10 years.
Well, let's put it out in the universe. After you've won an Oscar, 10 years, where do you see yourself as an artist?
I see myself doing something on a major scale. I see myself being the director of something, a producer of something, but mainly I see myself striving to make a space for other actors of color and helping other young actors who may not have gotten opportunities with the world that we currently live in, who will get opportunities in the future to express themselves artistically because of people like who I will hopefully grow up to be, who make space for them and who make sure that their voices are seen and heard and experienced just as much as any other actor who is not of color.
You're actually Filipina, Mexican, American actress. How does that help you as an artist? Does it inform your performance in any way, any particular way?
I definitely take a lot of pride in my culture. When you walk into those spaces, you see, a lot of the times you don't see yourself represented.
There you go.
So bringing your own stories and experiences helps representation for the people behind you and diversifies the space, which is of the utmost importance to me personally. And a lot of the times I feel like I'm not Mexican enough or I'm not Filipino enough, especially when you grow up in the US, but you are multi-ethnic. You have to be more American than the Americans, you have to be more Mexican than the Mexicans, and you have to be more Filipina than the Filipinos.
Right.
Just to prove that you are who you are.
To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, a song by the legendary Nina Simone. She wrote that song for young folks like Faith and Viviana. They are our future, and we have an abundance of greatness to look forward to. I'm Michael Taylor, and thank you for watching Theater Corner.